What's going on, world? Welcome back to another edition of the Black Mental Health Podcast. I'm your host, Reg. Today with me, I got a legend in the building, and you can't be modest because I always say we look at legends afterwards, and when they, all of the work that they do, and you look back on their life. But we never look at legends while they making it. I.e., everybody watching the Kanye doc now, and they like, oh, he was doing it. I see legendary work happening around right now, but I'm gonna let you introduce yourself because I don't want to miss no credentials. I don't want to miss any highlights. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Well, thank you for having me. I am Rachael Hanible. I'm a certified financial educator. I teach financial literacy for our babies, starting at the age of 3, going up to college age, where I teach them everything about personal finance, entrepreneurship, credit, budgeting, banking, all those things. And so far, my curriculum has been in over 75 schools and universities across our nation. And I'm also a personal finance coach for adults. And for 8 years, I've been the founder of Missing Piece Financial Group, where I just help you on the road to financial freedom, whatever that may look like for you. I paid off over $92,000 worth of debt. So I became completely debt free. I saved up a year's worth of my income in cash, and my credit score is almost at a perfect score. I think this is my perfect score year. I'm at 843. This is it, Reg. But I've been just traveling, just helping my people as much as possible. Just to find that missing piece is why I call my company Missing Piece, PEACE, as they on their road to financial freedom.
You said a lot in there, and we're gonna walk it back and walk through everything a little bit slowly. So one of the things, what got you started in this? Let's go with that, because I know it was a breaking point. I know Steve Harvey talked about you got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like, what was the breaking point of like, oh, I'm messing up my finances right now. I need to fix it.
For me, the breaking point was actually when I was younger. I experienced a time where they were coming and taking, they were cutting our water off. You come outside and the water, I'm like, whoa. First of all, it is June. Everybody's outside. The block is hot. Like, y'all embarrassing us. And it was just, it really clicked that someone could take something so important as water, like our running water from us, because we couldn't afford to pay for it. And in my mind at that moment, I was like, I got to figure out how this could never happen again. Like, not only to me, but to my loved ones, I got to make sure that, this never happens again. And that started on the journey of me just teaching myself about like credit and budgeting and banking and saving, because we didn't learn all those things in school. But I grew up in a poor neighborhood, in a poor household, and the crime was high, but the hope was low. And most of the issues came from not having money, like from being poor. Like, we're mad, we're angry, we are robbing each other, we are doing this. And so I just started on my own journey to say, there's more to life. There has to be more to life to this. And I'm going to find out what it is. And then I'm going to come back to my community and share that information with them. And that's what I ultimately did.
All right. So I'm going to ask the elephant in the room question, which I know many people probably understand the feeling, but doesn't correlate the two. How does money relate to mental health and finances relate to mental health?
It's so weird. I don't know where to start. It's just so many. If you're not sleeping well at night because you are concerned about if this is going to happen, if you're one check engine light away from losing it all or tumbling into debt, if you are not sure how you're going to, pay your bills or go through Christmas or just regular everyday stuff, like some people literally don't know where the next meal is going to come from. And so you gotta know that's going to do something to you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's going to bother you. Again, you're not able to have access to the right kinds of nutrition to put in your body. That's going to mess you up. If you're not sleeping at night, that's going to mess you up. That is going to, and then you see social media is really making it worse, because it's like everybody is a 6-figure, 7-figure, this, that. And it's like, what am I doing wrong? And it starts to really have people, really second guessing themselves, really questioning themselves, really questioning God, questioning their talents, their gifts. And that is something that can have a weight on you that it's hard to get off. And some people take years and even go through their whole life and really, really still struggle with that.
No, you're so right about that. And I wanted to impress you. So I wanted to show you the books that got me. So I got it's
Let's
Tony
see. I love that book.
Tony
I love that
Robbins
book.
Unshakable for those of you who are listening. And then I had the big one. I lost the cover, but the money book, but the big one that he had. And I read both of them, and they changed like my whole perspective of money. I'm like, all right, I know where she's coming on here. I gotta show her what worked for me.
I love it. They good. They're good.
So
Good choices.
you said you work from ages 3 to 8, 3 to 9. What's the age brackets?
So the book that I have, I didn't even mention the book, but the book is for ages 3 to 10. My curriculum is for ages 3 going all the way up to college age.
All right, and the reason why I ask is because I have two sons, one who's 3 and one who is 9, and me and his mother or me and their mother have not been teaching them about finances because where do you even begin? Mind you, if you're a adult who is starting to recover from it, I'm still learning, and I don't know all of that. I don't want to steer them in the wrong way, so I'm like, maybe if I get myself right first, then I'll come back and teach. What's the thought process behind that? The first step, you ain't got to say I'm gonna get the book. That's the first step. But what's the next steps?
So the idea for the book, it came from me seeing multiple studies that say that our financial habits are formed by the age of 7. So our babies, that I was like, wow, that's really young. And if you're like me, that wasn't good news. And so I was like, oh, we got to do something about this. And so it's like our babies are creating thinking about whether money is their friend or their enemy. And they figure that out before they get to double digits. And so as early as possible, we need to implant those good, seeds so that they can grow to have a great relationship with money. So they know money is their friend. You take care of it, you nurture it, it grows and multiplies and all those things. And so the reason why you really want to start as young as possible, because it takes a while, right? For kids, we got to say the same thing over and over and over again, over and over and over again. And that was the biggest hurdle when I was even publishing the book. It was like, this is a terrible idea. Parents are not going to want to buy a book for their kids about money because parents don't want their kids questioning them about how they spend their money, because a lot of parents are insecure about the fact that they don't have their, the same thing you said, right? And so I was like, I think I'm gonna still write it anyway, right? Now bestseller, right? Through
Congrats.
Barnes and Noble and Amazon, right? Bestseller. So I'm like, I think I was wrong, but we are doing our babies a disservice when we let them be kids. Oh, they have all their whole lives to worry about money. We won't talk to them about money. No, we need to talk to them about money, because money is going to be all around them. It's not a way that they're going to be able to escape it. And so as early as we start, we can get them the head start. Because again, I tell you, I travel, I've gone different places, and we are the only ones who do that, who say, no, they don't need to, they're too young, they're too, we're the only ones who do that, right? Like other cultures, other places, they just get it in young. Even if it's small conversations of, I say we have millionaire moments every day that we're passing up with our babies every day, right? If you're in the market, there's at least 10 millionaire moments in the market, right? Because you are sitting there as a parent and you're deciding on which brand, and you're weighing out the options, and you're doing the math in your head, right? Bring them in on those conversations. What do you think? Which one do you think I should choose? This one is this amount, so we miss those moments every day. And I think that we should, maybe if we don't grab all of them, because won't get on their nerves about money, but just grab a handful of them and start to plant those small seeds that grow into something great.
You said something key about and again, with this being a mental health podcast, financial insecurity. How do we get, what's some practical steps to get over that financial insecurity where you can't reach out for help, or not can't, you're not vulnerable enough to reach out for help, or admitting that you have a problem, or etc. Like, how do we get past that?
Well, the one thing I always say is that if you've made any financial mistakes, that just makes you human, like all of us, right? Including me. I do things that I'm like, I definitely went over my budget on Black Friday. Okay, I put it out there on social media. I was like, y'all coach, Y'all finance coach went over her budget. I just want y'all to know. Tell me if I'm alone. Give me a double tap. So it's not the guilt and the shame and all of those are things that are not helping you. They're not helping you at all. And so we need to figure out what we can do to help you, how we can help you. And that's even why I even started giving out the free tips on Fridays, every Friday on Facebook. It's been 2.5 years of every single Friday, 10 tips at noon for free. And we have finance parties, but I know there are a lot of people who are watching those and they're taking notes, right? But they feel too guilty. They're never going to come and have a session with me, or they're never going to, announce that it's helping them or whatever. They need help in this particular area. So I say, I'm just going to give it and let the chips fall where they may. I don't need the credit. I just want you to have the information. And so, and there are a lot of people who are giving out information, and you don't even have to have the aha moment openly. You don't have to have a long, confessional. You can just get the help that you need, and just start on step by step, day by day. I tell people, do one thing every day to get you one step closer to your definition of financial freedom. Do not let social media define what financial freedom is for you. Don't even let me, for my clients, I don't even define for them what financial freedom is for them. You define it, and then you do something, at least one thing every day, that gets you one step closer to that ultimate goal.
It's a lot of questions that just rounded through my mind. So we are dropping this podcast this week too, because I just thought about it. It's income tax season, and so with income tax season, what are some things where, all right, I'll lead into the income tax season. So in 2018, and I'm going to be very vulnerable because I just showed the books that got me out of that and like starting to make the right decisions and things like that. But it was I had a 480 credit score, 480, a 480 credit score, and I was driving for Uber. And so what would you have told a person that had a 480 credit score, still had the regular bills, gas, electric, got the 2 kids? You got my personal picture right now. So making the Uber, make maybe $100 a day with Uber, 480 credit score, and they're trying to dig themselves out of that hole. What would the first thing would you tell them to do to start? And income tax season coming up, give them that.
I would tell them you're in a good spot. You're in a really good spot because you're at the point where you already know what the bottom looks like. So now we can only go up from here. We can only go up from here. And certain ranges of credit score, you're going to see a bigger jump than you would if once you get beyond the 700s and stuff, it starts to slow down, the numbers start to slow down. But when you're at low, you can do small things and it starts to jump when you're low. And so I would say, let's make sure we have the tools that you need. Let's figure out how we got here, because I always say personal finance is not a math problem. We all know how to add, subtract, and all those. We know how to do those things. It is a heart thing. It is a spiritual thing. It is an emotional thing. And so I need to sit down with you to figure out how we got there. And we need to break up those things that got you there, so that we can make sure that once we do start talking about numbers, you're not going to revert back to where you came from. And so I would say I got some tools for you that I'm gonna put in your toolbox, and we're gonna go through some digging up of some things, because that all that came from somewhere, right? Again, financial habits formed by 7. Something happened, a couple of somethings probably happened that allowed you to get there and be comfortable there for a little while. But we're going to make sure that you're never ever going to be comfortable there again, because we're going to plug up uproot those things. But you're doing good, baby. I'll say you're doing good. You got a job, you're bringing money in, and now you got a coach, so you got everything you need.
Yeah, no, it really is like something you got to dig yourself in and shift a lot of the habits that were like ingrained. All right, with respect, remember you asked that question, what questions you don't ask? I'm gonna ask one of them and you can tell me we can move past it or not.
Okay.
With respect to upbringings and family teachings, what are some of the money habits, mistakes that you had to lose that was harming you, if that makes sense?
With respect to upbringing, I think the biggest thing, and I see a lot of Black women struggle with this, we believe that everyone else's dreams and goals are more important than our own. And we kind of just stop dreaming it earlier than we should. And I've always said that I would be wealthy. Even when I was younger, people would say that, but it's like it was a thing and I could picture it, But I'm like, I don't know now. I don't know. There was some moments where I was like, okay, this is how what day, you know what I mean? What day is this gonna happen? But I had to overcome for sure being a people pleaser. I just wanted people to like me. Like I really wanted people to like me, and that cost me a lot of money. Wanting people to like me was very expensive
Mm.
because those people know that. Those people know who the people pleasers are. So they make sure they send you the invite for the birthday, the baby shower, this and that, because they know you're gonna go above and beyond because you don't want them to be upset with you and all those things, right? So it's like I had to let go of there are going to be some people. This can be a lonely road because I gotta like really shut down fun for certain things right now just temporarily because I gotta stay focused. And I was like, some people just gonna have to go, and some people walked out, and some people left, and I really struggled with that for a little while, but I had to get over that, and that was one of the biggest hurdles I had to get over.
No, and that, I agree, and that actually brought up in one of the questions that I had for you too is one of the things that I don't know where did I picked it up from, if it was the books, if it was the YouTube, like, but it was not letting people make their emergencies yours and their financial emergencies. Like they made all of those mistakes and all those things, and it still hurts too, especially when it's loved ones. It still hurts where you got to tell them no because you know the habits that they're doing and they're contributing, but they're expecting you to, kind of save the day. How do you like? What does that boundary look like? Especially for someone who's the personal finance coach, so they know you got it. You better, you should have it.
So full transparency, people ask me for money a lot, and ranging from in the last 7 days, I've had total strangers inbox me for gas money, all the way up, anywhere from $30. I've even had someone call in a $10,000 favor.
Mm,
So
mm.
you gotta have some kind of boundaries when you are, those people. You're right. And for me, it started with me kind of booby trapping my life for success, where it was like I made sure that I didn't have but so much in my everyday account. So it was like I don't have, like I can't give this to you right now because I don't have access to what you're asking me for. And
I like that. I'm gonna use
then
that.
yeah, because so my everyday account is really just for my allowance, my weekly allowance, and that's just food and gas and transportation. I mean, transportation and food or treat for myself. And so I'm like, if you come to me looking for anything more than that, you won't have to wait 48 hours, and you probably don't have
Have that
48
type of
hours to
right.
wait, right? So now I'm like, so I'm like, I'm not lying when I say I don't have it access to it right now. And so then I actually put this in today's tips because we're recording this on a Friday. And the one of the tips was no is a complete sentence. And I'm like, no, I don't want to give that to you. Oh, I got it. I'm not even gonna lie to you and tell you I don't have it. I do have it, and it is mine because I worked hard for it. I can decide whether I want to give it to you or not. And this seems to be a little reoccurring situation you got going on. And if I keep letting you lean on me, you will never learn how to stand on your own. And my intention for you is to always be strong enough to stand on your own.
Why does that sound so good, but it sounds so heartbreaking when you're talking to a person in need? You get what I mean? Like it sounds good, like it sounds reasonable, but it sounds heartbreaking when you're telling a person that got their hand out, like, hey, I don't got it. It again, another part, something I learned, it was like, no, you welcome. And no mean like I told you no, so maybe you can take that no and be so burnt by it that you do something about it. So no, you welcome. It's something else that you put on your Friday tips that you gave out that I wanted you to speak to is you can't out earn a bad relationship with money. What did you
Yeah,
mean? What was the thinking behind that?
you know what? 8 years I've been, sitting down with people, and I've helped so many people, so many classes, and the number one thing everyone says is, Coach, if I make more money, the world will be a better place. Everything will just be a better place if I and everyone, I said, oh, okay, well, just we'll track your spending for 10 days.
Mm.
And then they come back to me and I'm like, oh, you don't have an income problem. You got a spending problem. Because I don't understand why you and the babies went to Rita's 3 times in 1 week. Why y'all didn't just get the gallon or the quart while y'all was there the first time? Because you know they like, I mean, it's summertime. And so we always have, again, either money is our friend or our enemy, right? And so we figure we just gonna keep making more money. That's our thing, right? We're gonna make more money and we're gonna be all right. But no, you're just gonna blow more. And so we have so many examples of just throughout history, right, of people who've had a crazy, insane amount of money and they don't have it anymore, right? This was like a whole show about lottery winners who are like, broke or poor again, right? Or even worse than they were before they won the lottery. Like, and so it's like you got to really dig into what that is, because I know people who, only make a little bit of money and they've been able to have a whole lot to show for it, and they've been able to multiply it. They've been able to put in certain places where it grow, and they understand it's a seed and they're intentional about it. But then I know a lot of other people, most of my clients make way more money than I do. And they do not have half of what I have to show for it. And so income is only one part of it, but you got to get to the point where what your intentions are, and you're able to put those seeds in the right place where you want it to grow.
I wanted to stay there really quickly because you said when you was talking about you can't out earn a bad relationship with money. I'm thinking more of when I seen it, I thought about the divorce rate, where they say like people didn't, a lot of the divorce rate is because of money. What barriers do you see when it comes to like divorce or marriages, when it comes to like the financial? What are the financial barriers in relationships that prevent people from staying together?
Yeah, I do have sessions for couples very, very often. And it's so fun because it's like we're speaking 2 different languages, of course, right? And we have 2 different goals, we have 2 different intentions, we have 2 different definitions of like freedom or peace or whatever. And it's like we never really sat down to define what these words even mean to us. Like, right, what does it mean to be a provider? Like, have we ever really sat down with our partner and say like, oh, I want to be a provider? Well, what does that actually look like? What does that actually mean? And let's make sure we have our priorities together. Let's make sure we're not just worried about like how it looks on the gram. Let's make sure that we are setting our babies up to be okay for a long period of time. Let's make sure we have a goal, and then we got to keep revisiting. Maybe we discussed something, when we got married on our wedding night, but maybe next year we're going to discuss this again. Or every year we have to do a vision board for our marriage, for our finances, and make sure that we are, putting those steps in place, those realistic steps in place to get us there. But you always have like one saver, then one spender, and then there's a lot of pride and ego there, right? You're not gonna tell me what to do with my money. My wife always tells me what to do with my money or whatever. But he always tell me I can't go out with my girlfriends, right? And here I come in and I'm like, do this, do that, do that. They're like, well, it's not, it's the coach said it, so I'm cool, right? Right? I'm like, yo, your wife just said the same thing, but you just didn't want her to be the one. And you know what I tell them? That's your teammate, not your opponent. And so anything this person says to you shouldn't automatically feel like an attack or automatically feel like restriction or feel like, somebody, your mom, you know what I mean? Somebody or your dad telling you what to do. This is your teammate, and you have to look at them in that way. And so whatever information they're giving you, we are both helping to get the team to the championship, right? We're trying to get the we ready.
We all winning, yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to all win. And so just being able to shift that mindset, make sure they're defining things correctly. They're on the same page of how they even define certain words, and just make sure that we break down that language barrier too.
All right. I think I got like 2 more couples questions. And it's based off of some of the things that you post as well. One of the things you said, and you can correct it, I'm paraphrasing, was that I'm going to assume that it was towards men, but you may have said it was towards men. Um, don't be fooled by being scared of a powerful woman. There are many women out there who can make their money, but also know how to submit to their relationship when they come home. Something to look. You correct me till I'm wrong. Can you explain to that too? So there's this dynamic where we put these quotes and stats out there like women are outpacing men and women are doing this, and it's going to create some insecurity and vulnerability on the other side of like, well, what can I do for her? And or that idea of like once you a powerful woman are single because the men won't submit to them. Like what are your thoughts behind that?
So we always see, I think that particular day was a response to, I got tired of seeing this meme floating around that basically says like women who make more than, I think it's a $20 an hour, don't listen. And if they make more than $25 an hour, they don't even have ears on the side of their head. Like they're not gonna listen to you. Have to say something like that. You can't tell a woman who make more than $20 an hour nothing. Right. And I was just like, I was just saying to the men, like, don't feed into that, right? And that I personally know a lot of women who are just killing it at whatever it is their gifts and talents are, and because of that, they are doing well for themselves, and but they also really really want to submit to the right man. They really want to be able to share some of this load with someone. They really want to be able to build an empire with someone, and we just have to. But sometimes what I've seen, even in my personal life, is that again, that mindset is already assumed, it's already there. So by the time I sit across from you, whatever I say, you're gonna take it as, see,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, wait, what? I can't ask a question. Like I just literally asked the question. And so a lot of the guys, I don't know if you saw the comments on that, but a lot of the men was like, where they at? Where they at? And I'm like, just because they're a boss, they're a CEO in their business, or they're a boss even at their day job, because even me, I have a really really high position in my day job. That does not mean that they're bringing all the energy in the home. Because I tell you, I'm tired of making decisions. By the time 120 come, I probably made more decisions than some people that did in 3 days, right? So I'm like, at this point, I'm like, whatever you want to eat for dinner is what it's gonna be, because I'm not making no decisions. I'm not making no decisions. I'm not doing nothing. So whatever you say is what it's gonna be after that. So yeah, I just was, I hoped that kind of encouraged men to kind of just look at, but then also women too, that hey, this is, be more mindful of the fact that this is what's out here. So you kind of sometimes got to lean a little bit, you got to overcompensate a little bit, you got to lean a little bit more to the other side, because it's out there already. And so some people are going to sit across from you at the table at the date one and assume that you're this way, and so you got to kind of be patient with that on the other side too.
So a question just popped in my head while you were speaking about I know budgeting is important, but paying bills is depressing, coach. I'll say it as a coach. As you're the coach, I'm a client. Paying bills are depressing. Like
We
you
having a
get the
session
money.
right now.
Yeah, I just paid rent today. Like, and it's like the money came in and it just went right out. And so I think a lot of the things that how money is connected to mental health is almost like, man, like it's just never enough to go around. And you'll hear a lot of people say they're broke even when they pay all their bills. Like, oh, my bills are all paid, but I'm still broke. So that's depressing. Like, I want some stuff for myself at this time. How do you get past that? Because it was just, it's something I learned, it's just, it's part of the game. Like, you just gotta do what you gotta do. But it is a depressing feeling to feel like you work 2 weeks or however long, or if you get paid once a month, you work that whole month, and then the money just go out to all the bills, and now you're just left with like, I can't do nothing. I can't live my life. Like, what do you tell your clients that go through that?
Well, we have to start with changing your speech. There are people know, even in my classrooms or even on one-on-one sessions, that certain words are not allowed. Broke is not allowed. We don't speak in that way. Even saying I can't enjoy life we kind of dig into those words too, that phrase too. But I think that we have to start with gratitude. Like, not I have to, I get to keep a roof over my family's head. I get to go and work this job and work on my purpose or work on my mission and put money away for the future and whatever it may be. Like, I get to do that. I'm blessed to be able to say that although I'm not where I personally would like to be, I know that I'm developing the mindset and the skill and the heart posture that will, once that time comes, that I can take on this blessing. I'll be able to carry it. And I think that often we don't want to take the stairs. And I tell people, no matter what situation you're in, look for the stairs, because the stairs is where it's going to take you a little longer, but your foundation is going to be stronger, that once you get to that top, right? Once you get to those goals, like, you're going to be able to carry it and hold on to it for much longer. So let's change your speech. Let's change your mindset to gratitude, because when you become a magnet for more money, you become a magnet for more opportunities, you become a magnet for, so I used to be that person, like, oh, I hate my job, here we go, got to stand outside and give myself a 10-minute pep talk before I go in, right? And I wasn't going anywhere. And then I changed, and now I'm 5 promotions later, right? I'm now the highest paid Black woman to ever work for my company, right? And I'm like literally making history there, and they've been open for over 100 years. And so it was all me saying, I do like this job. I am grateful. I am blessed to be here. I am doing something I like to do. There are opportunities there, just my speech changed, and everything else began to, like, literally change with it. Everything else literally changed with it. So someone in your situation, I would say, you gotta do whatever you need to do to change your speech. I don't care if you gotta put sticky notes on your walls or whatever, your mirror, whatever, because that's where it's going to start. Because even if I gave you $1 million, you would still find a way to complain if that's all that's in your speech. And so, and you would still find a way to get rid of it, because you don't know what to do, because you didn't take the stairs. This is the fast track. Somebody just gave you $1 million, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where we would start. We would definitely start there. And then for the practical tips, we would talk about list 5 ways you can increase the money coming in your home, even if it's $5, $10. We talked about me when I was getting out of debt. I was only making $8.75 an hour.
Go into, because that was my next question. How did you even save that massive amount of money?
For me, it was just like, again, what I talked about, one step every day. What can I do today? 5 ways I can increase the money coming in my home, even if it's $20, even if it's $10. Can I sell a t-shirt? Can I teach a class? I was like doing all kinds of things. I used to teach Excel classes out of my apartment, my 1-bedroom apartment, right? If people come in, and I would teach them how to work Excel, like older people and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is good. Oh, they pay me for this. And so we all have gifts and talents and things that we can do that we're literally doing for free every day, or not using, that somebody somewhere is getting paid for. Someone somewhere is getting paid for something, probably really good money, for something that you're doing every day with your eyes closed. Like, Excel is nothing for me, but it was people who were like, wait, where is the mouse? And they were, so 5 ways you can increase the money coming in your home, 5 ways you can decrease the money going out. So I was saying, okay, I have this thing, the Dunkin' Donuts hot chocolate, but it's pretty expensive, but I really love it, right? I don't want to completely get rid of it, but I found out they make the K-Cups that's just like it, Dunkin' Donuts hot chocolate K-Cups. I'm like, okay, I compared the price. Okay, well, I can save this amount of money every week if I just make them at home, and now I can put more money towards my debt. What you're going to look for is the small little leaks in your budget, the small little leaks in your daily habits. And that's how I turned that $8.75 an hour into eventually paying off $92,000 worth of debt, and also saving a year's worth of my income in cash. And so by then it had, grew to a little bit more by the time I finished, but I started with paying an extra $5 on my student loan debt every month, because that was literally all I had. And an extra $20 on my car payment every month, because that was literally all I had extra. And then I started to build on that. And I've been 11 years without a car note and 9 years without student loan debt. And it started with $5 and $20 and $10 every month. And so I encourage people to look at that small amount. It all adds up.
I kind of know where you're going to answer this question. It's probably going to be both and instead of either or, but I'm gonna ask it anyway for
Okay.
the listeners. There's two approaches that I learned while I was doing my research, and there's a I don't want to say his name, but I'll say it, Dave Ramsey
No,
approach.
you could have abbreviated it. We
All
know. Go
right.
ahead.
You have the approach where hopefully you talked over it and it didn't go out there. So you have the approach where you cut everything. You just budget. You don't get the Starbucks. You don't get the Dunkin'. You don't get these people. And then you have the other approach where you don't have a outcome problem. You have an income problem. You need to increase your income and go find ways to make more money. You just said both. But if I'm in a person that's in debt, how do I know which one I should start on? You know what I mean? Because there's so many different variations that I could do at that point.
Of whether you should start on working on your income or your expenses.
Yes.
So the reason why I say both,
I
yes,
knew.
you knew I was going to say both. Because when we create a list of 5 things of each list, we don't do all 5 things. We literally find like 2 that we can stick to and do consistently. So it sounds overwhelming. Like, I can't do 10 whole things no. We normally don't do all 5. We almost never do all 5. We'll stick to about 2 here. Maybe we even rotate, right? Some months it may be easier to do other things. Like maybe if you have Uber or Lyft or whatever, it may be easier to do those things or more profitable to do those things certain times of the year, whereas other times of the year, other things on your list. Maybe cable, you're like, okay, cable, we can do without it in the summer because we're outdoors more often, we're traveling more often or whatever. But the wintertime, coach, I'm gonna need to watch, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Perfectly fine. So it's not an overwhelming thing if you just pick 2 or 3 things that you're saying, I know I can do this consistently. Because guess what? Even if you find 2 ways you can increase your income $100 a month, and then you find 2 ways you can decrease the money going out another $100 a month, and that's $200 where you can either start to invest, you can start to save your emergency fund, you can start to pay down debt, but that you gotta widen the gap between your income and your outgone, because that's where your wealth is going to be. That's where your peace is going to be, that money in the middle.
Ooh, that was a gem. Um, there's one that you brought up a lot during this conversation that I wanted to make sure we talked into about social media and like money. I feel like everybody's rich on social media. Like
They
sometimes
are.
I don't know who's broke, who's real, who are not broke. You said don't use broke. Who has an income insufficiency and who is financially well. So I how do you, and I think that's a part of the mental health aspect too, because it plays on people's need to feel like, oh, maybe I should be doing more because this person is doing X, Y, and Z, and they're making me feel like I'm not doing enough. And I'm guilty of it too. Like sometimes I'm pocket watching, like they just went to this trip and I just seen this and that, you know what? And then that's when you got to put it down or whatever. But how do you manage that feeling again of financial insecurity when you see it seems like everyone else is like financially well off? And I know it's easy to say like, yo, just shut off social media, but it's such an integrated part of our lives that it's not possible.
Yeah, there are 2 things that I would say. You need to understand the difference between rich and wealthy.
Mm,
So, you can, riches is, loud and bright and things you can see, but wealth is quiet. You can't see wealth, right? Because it's stored up for later. And so, you begin to view things a little differently. He's like, well, this person is showing all of this. They're
mm,
literally showing us all they have. Therefore, that's not wealth. That's not real wealth, because real
mm,
wealth is in the background, just multiplying and
mm,
multiplying and multiplying, right? And planting other seeds and multiplying, right? And so you like, if it's loud, I don't know, right? If it's quiet, ooh, let's talk about that quiet stuff you're not talking about, right? But then the main thing is net worth.
mm.
Who cares if your income is high, if your expenses are high too? Like, who cares? You're literally working hard to drag all this money in the front door, and you're throwing it out the back window. And it's like, it's not even sitting in your home, right? It's not even going through the kitchen. It's not even staying in long enough because you're so busy wanting to show it that you're really literally getting rid of it when you do that. When you show it, you're getting rid of it. But that wealth, that quiet, that background stuff, um, unfortunately, a lot of those people, their net worth is still in a negative. They're
Mm.
still worth less than $1, because all of their debt and everything else outweighs what's coming in, and they can't keep it in long enough because we gotta show it on the gram. um, and so that's all I see. And I've been blessed to even be a personal finance coach for some social media influencers,
Mhm.
and there are red bank accounts that match those red bottoms. I can confirm.
Ooh.
And so I just want to encourage everyone. It's not all of this, it's smoke and mirrors. And again, like you said, it is easier to said than done, but you really want to think about long-term wealth. And that's going to be the thing that you're not going to see. And so if you see it 9 times out of 10, it's not real wealth.
Mm. So again, doing my research, I saw that at some point you had quit giving one-on-one financing. Like you just was like, these Negroes ain't listening. Like I'm I'm gonna go and do it with the babies. Like I'm not doing it no more. The question was that, what is it? Giving the financial advice to people who don't want to listen. Like, how do you battle with that? And I have a two-part question to that. So, in the second part, you can probably answer as well. Of as a person that's putting their life on the line of giving expertise to people, how do you find that balance when people aren't listening, like to keep going? You know what I mean? Like at some point it's like, I'm doing this work, is it really working? Is it y'all really listening at this point? Like I'm giving y'all tips every Friday. The tips alone is enough to like get somebody on a good foot. But like, how do you battle and get through that?
Yeah, I struggle with that. I even had to come back and do a long apology on social media to say, like, I that was like an ego move, that my ego was bruised. I didn't feel appreciated. And everyone wants, I know you do this on your show, give the flowers. And I love, love, love that you do that. I was listening to Coach V. I'm like, yeah, give her flowers, right? And we really do struggle with that in our community. We really, really do struggle with that, especially the people who are just doing it from their heart. They're not doing it for money. They're not doing it for popularity or whatever. Sometimes those people just kind of just get forgotten. And it was just like, I got tired of, I'm telling you how to build your credit, and you taking my free tips and doing whatever you want, ignoring me, but then you go pay somebody $3,000 to get something removed off your credit. I'm saying, don't do that. And then you come back and say, oh, coach, I done paid this person and it came back on my credit. What should I do? I'm like, y'all want to keep paying people? Y'all want to keep, I kind of had like a, I
I'm
felt like I
with you.
had
I
like a
understand.
tantrum. I had like a tantrum, like, all right, y'all grown, fine, fine. Y'all hard hit. I'm trying to help y'all. You don't want to appreciate. I'm doing it from my heart. I'm charging you little to nothing. For a while, I was like doing it for free. For 2 whole years, I did it for absolutely free, and it was just like, I'm giving out free information, and you mean to tell me I gotta cancel another event? I'm giving out free information, this and that. But so it kind of was like, okay, I'm not doing this. I don't want you to just keep paying me. If you're not doing the work, my vision is to see you win.
Mhm.
But you're looking for the shortcut, and I think that was something that I really struggled with, because again, I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to always encourage you to take the stairs,
Mhm.
because that's where the real bag is going to be. When you take the stairs, you're going to meet more people, you're going to have more wisdom, you're going to be more humble, all those things when you get to the top. And everyone who came to me at that time was like looking for elevators and escalators, and I was like, I don't have that to give. And so I tried to say I wasn't doing sessions anymore, and there were some people like, I know what you said, but I'll pay you extra to still keep helping me and my husband. I'll pay you extra. It was like a lot of those people. But then I came back and apologized to say, you know what? I know this is what God wants me to do, and I have to do it even when I don't feel like it's happening in that moment. I don't see the instant results. I can't tell you all to take the stairs if I'm bailing out because I don't see instant results. It's not fair. That's not right. That was an ego issue. And I know that my reward not only is in heaven, but I know that God has blessed me every day because I've continued to do what He has assigned for me to do. And I know this is my purpose, and I have to continue to do it. And so I made that whole long apology, but it is hard because, again, you see those smoke and mirrors on social media. For me, it wasn't about the money, the things that people flash on social media, but it was just like, sometimes we make the wrong people popular for the wrong reasons. And then we get upset when they betray our community, right? We say, oh, this person has been taken, this person did a giveaway or did a give back, and they do book bag, whatever, drives or whatever. And it's like, well, they've been taking meat from our community all year. So they're not a hero because they spit back out bones to us. They're not a hero in my mind. They're not a hero if we do this because they got a tax write-off for us. You don't get no work for that. You've been taking from our people all year. You've been overcharging them for this. You've been lying to them about this. You've been setting them up for jail for this or whatever it might be, right? And so I'm like, you know what? Go ahead. Y'all want to have your heroes? So that's where. But I had to backtrack. I had to, repent to God, but I had to come openly and just, ask my people for forgiveness, because I want to do what is needed, and I want to do what God wants me to do.
It's a tough road, man. And at the same time, when I was telling you about the Uber and doing that, and where I was starting at, I started this podcast like a few months after that in 2018, and I just felt like people wasn't listening, but I just felt like it was needed and to keep doing the work. So much so I looked up, and then I'm like I just celebrated 50,000 downloads, and I'm like, well, when the heck did this happen?
I saw that. I was like,
and so it was inspiring to see that. But I just know as and I'll consider yourself that as well, a healer of your community. As healers, the healers need healing. Like, yo, I'm giving so much energy and exhorting out, but I don't know if it's being reciprocated or appreciated. And I just always worry about our healers within the community who's doing work that's, doesn't nowhere get paid for the amount of work that's being done anyway.
gotta stick together.
Yes. So I'm always check in and give the flowers, and I'm gonna make sure in a few. I only got like a couple questions left to give you your flowers at the end of it. But it was a question that I just had that it slipped my mind. It'll come back. We'll go into the flowers. Oh, money being the root of all evil. What what I heard you talk about the importance of like God, having a relationship with God in your life, and had to, repent for when you told the people like, yo, go do y'all, I'm gonna do me. What is your thought around money being the root of all evil?
Well, the scripture said the love of money is the root of all evil. And so that greed is serious. Greed is serious. It is dangerous. Because again, you just gonna keep moving the goalpost. Like, when is enough enough? When is enough? When you never get to the peace again. Everything is about peace for me, comfort, right? And so you're never gonna get there if you're just like more. And so this is why we start off with defining freedom. For some people, I say, give it an actual number. Tell me how much you would need to have to feel financially secure, financially free, or financially at peace. And so for some people, that's 3 different numbers. But I need to know, and this is what we're gonna work towards, and this is what it's gonna be, because you can't win more. It's just like it's never ending. And again, that is you kind of willing to do anything. I'm always nervous about people that seem to be wanting the money by any means necessary. By any means necessary? I don't know if that's how you're supposed to be approaching. Because then I'm like, well, I don't even know. I can't trust you because I don't know how far you're going to go. You're literally going to betray anybody. You're literally going to, even yourself, And so, yeah, the love of it is definitely something we have to kind of like do some chin checks, do some heart checks, and make sure that we're not doing it for the wrong reasons, and we're not, having that greed creeping in.
as we begin to close out, talk to me about what people can expect once they go out there and grab the books.
So, Amber's Magical Savings Box, it is an interactive children's book that teaches kids about money management, earning and saving money. That is for ages 3 to 10. And you know, there are some affirmations so we can start those positive, connections with money to our for our babies early. It asks them about their dreams and goals, what they want to be when they grow up, who they want to donate money to. So creating these images for them so they can move in a positive direction. And money is definitely, absolutely your friend. And it was also written in honor of my niece Amber, who passed away at the age of 3. So you'll see a little dedication in there for my baby. But also the Pep Talks Personal Finance ebook is for adults. And that is kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Some people are too prideful to come and have a session. So this was my way of basically putting a session in an ebook, and it's an actual workbook. So some of the exact assignments and exercises that we do in sessions are in this book. And even we talked about the finance tips. There are 50 finance tips in this book. There's a couple for sections. There's a section for couples. There's a section for singles. There's a section for all kinds of different areas in your life that you may need a little bit of help with. So it's a little sprinkle, a little bit for everyone. But the ebook, all of the proceeds for the ebook allows me to be able to travel and teach kids about personal finance, because unfortunately a lot of the schools in our communities they don't have the funding to be able to have these programs. And so when you invest in yourself with that Pep Talks personal finance ebook, you are also investing in the next generation of millionaires.
Oh, I love that. So make sure y'all go grab that. Put the link up there.
Yeah, and also, I'm sorry,
Go
Amber's Magical Savings Box is also in Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble,
talk
and
that talk.
so you can literally get that everywhere books are sold. I did a 15 stop Barnes and Noble book tour, and it was just so beautiful meeting all those kids. And so you can get that book everywhere books are sold.
Listen, and stay. We gonna stay there. Like again, giving you your flowers. I just seen what you already said it earlier, but we're gonna go over 7 years without student loan debt, 11 years without the car note. I seen this year you just did 4. Did I talk about that experience? Don't working
Oh
with
my
4.
goodness. Talking about being ready, and not having to get ready, because
Mm.
all of this happened within 24 hours. I'm like, oh, I have this opportunity to speak at the Ford Motor Company and do a finance session. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Next thing I know, like, I'm on this web call, this video call with some of the managers at Ford, and it was like a little mock interview. They're like interviewing me to see if I fit the description, I guess. And they were like, oh yeah, this webinar that we want you to do is going to be open to 40,000 of our employees. I was like, oh, that's a
Wow.
lot of people. And they're like, you think you can do it? I'm like, I'm sure I can do it. And so it was so incredible, just meeting with them and sitting with them and all seeing all those numbers on my screen. I was like, okay, we got to stop this number count because, anxiety. And so they let me know that it was so good that it's going to live on their internal training portal indefinitely for Ford
Mm.
Motor Company. And so I'm really excited to be able to have done that, and a lot of great feedback has come from that. And they already asked me to come back. But again, that was a total stranger who had been following me for a while that I didn't even know worked for Ford, let alone having a high position there. I was like, oh, wow. What we mentioned earlier, right? This gentleman barely has 300 followers on Instagram, and he's just been quietly following me, like not really saying too much, but just, I see you. I see what you're doing. I see you doing it from your heart. I see you doing it for the right reasons. And he just kind of went in there and vouched for me, and without even knowing me. He lives in Detroit, so he doesn't even
Wow.
know me. He's never met me before. And so this just one of the many ways that God proves that I am doing what he wants me to do. And so I'm excited to continue to do that.
Congrats on the investment properties. I
Yes.
wasn't done giving the flowers on that. And I think that's I got from that, because again, I want to be respectful of time. So congrats on getting the investment properties. Um, I had two more questions, and then we're gonna get out of here. The last one is because we always assume when people talk about money insecurities or whatever the case may be that we're talking on the latter end of like when you're just beginning out, where I was at with 480 with the credit score. You said you're about to be on the brink of the perfect score this year, and once you start getting into the 700s and those type of numbers, that the progress kind of slows a little bit. What are one or two things that a person that had practical things that a person that's trying to get over the edge can do to get that closer to that perfect score?
Well, if you are, you can do credit builder loans. A lot of your credit unions are going to have credit builder loans where you can, anywhere from 6 months to 24 months, and you can tell it, how much you want to save. And they basically will put this money into a savings account, and then you just continue to keep paying it back. And it reports as, you paying a bill on time. And so a lot of people see a really good increase with those. And then you just get the money out the savings account when you're done your term, which, kind of helps the twofold, right? You got that emergency money going there. You can also, get a secure credit card, but you want to do things like just make sure you're paying your bills on time. Like that is like the foundation. Make sure you're paying your bills on time. Most people don't even know where certain bills are even due. So sometimes I just sit down with my clients and just say, let's write down your actual due dates because you just pay it whenever you feel like paying it. That's not the due date. So that's most of your score is going to be, are you even paying stuff on time? So a lot of times, people, again, pay for the credit repairs and stuff like that, but then go back to not paying stuff on time. I'm like, you just threw all that money away because now your score just tanked again. And you can lose almost 100 points from just one late payment. So the basics, we just want to focus on the basics. Can we keep paying stuff on time? Can we have an emergency fund so that maybe we won't have to depend on our credit cards as much, and then we can get it below that 30-15% as much as possible, right? And can we then see how we can build on that, but those are the main things that you definitely want to pull your full credit report, because you want to make sure ain't nobody lying on you on there. Okay. You want to make sure that everything you say is on there is what should be on there, because I think it's like 67% of Americans have incorrect information on their credit profile. That is not good, because that can be costing you some money. So make sure you have your full credit report, and what's on there, and that stuff is on there, it really belongs to you. And then just make sure you're slowly building on just being consistent with paying stuff on time.
Last but not least, any final words in regards to just money and mental health and what the people can take away from this conversation, even though you dropped so many gems?
I would say that we're at the point where we only have two options. Either we can change or we can stay the same. And that every transaction is either getting you one step closer or one step away from your definition of financial freedom. And you need to view it as that. There's no neutral here. When you exchange funds, when it's a transaction, you are either planting a seed, making a step going forward, or you're making a step going backwards. And you need to know that wherever you are, you're in front of a staircase and you can take the stairs. But just one day at a time, one step at a time, you'll be perfectly fine.
On that note, please make sure y'all follow Rachel. Y'all follow all of the work. The Instagram handle, the social media handle will be in the description, over the head, or whatever the case may be. So please make sure you support those that support us, and y'all know who us, what I mean. And remember that this platform has never been about a replacement to therapy. It's an alternative place where people share therapeutic stories. Thank you for listening.